Dr. Mazzarella, we all know that curses are fictional things. Why do fans and players invent them?
Well, curses are an age-old means of psychological warfare, and fall under the category of superstitions and magical thinking. The intent is to inflict harm for a variety of reasons. Like most people participate in superstitious behavior when facing uncertainty, stress, and anxiety as a means of controlling good or bad luck. Human beings have a natural tendency to assume causality and do so automatically. Some are inclined to check their rational mind at the door, either because they aren't particularly strong in this area or lack motivation to think deeply. It's simply easier to adopt a more accessible explanation that feels more empowering. And once a superstition is established, confirmation bias kicks in with our natural tendency to scan for evidence that supports the belief.
Dr. Mazzarella, you have your practice in the suburbs of Chicago, so you know about fans and the penchant to believe in curses. How do those in your profession view a curse that's felt by a whole city, like the one attached to the Cubs?
Yeah, the original news article published about the curse of the Billy Goat likely gained much attention in Chicago, much like a tabloid article would today. The audience included a war-weary population who probably didn't want to think deeply about anything but simply just kind of enjoy the news from an entertainment standpoint. And like fan fiction today, people likely added their own spin on these events, similar to the replies in a social media post. The ongoing narrative used to be intriguing, probably inflicting ongoing psychological warfare today on the Cubs players, management, and fan base.
Psychological warfare. It sounds so ominous. What would breaking the curse of the Billy Goat mean to that city?
Breaking the psychological barrier of winning a World Series for the Cubs will likely legitimize the winning culture with the Cubs that began with Theo Epstein's tenure. And that was initiated a few years ago. And winning, once discovered, can be replicated. So I did an informal poll through social media and heard from many of my friends and people in the Chicagoland area. And, some of them referenced anticipating euphoria, getting excited about what a parade would look like in Chicagoland, how the city may actually be shut down for a few days. There's a release that would take place for years of shattered hopes. And not only will the locals experience a fulfillment for what is for some a lifetime of frustration, those who called Chicago home for a season will affirm their connection to the city, supporting their Cubs away from Wrigley.
So interesting how the mind can play tricks on a collective city and fan base. Dr. Mazzarella, thank you for your clinical expertise on the subject of curses. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Again, step up and take fights the way that Connor does last minute and stay as consistent as Connor. You haven't seen something like that since Rhonda. I mean, when Rhonda burst onto the scene, she was